Allies or Enemies by Peachiibunnii, Chapter 7. Scar gently stirred his mug of coffee, having put way too much sugar and creamer in it. He always liked his much sweeter than Grian did. He took a sip and smiled happily before looking at the empty counter. He'd normally bring both mugs into the lounge area, but having been there to witness what Grian went through, he assumed his family would talk him out of coming into work. He felt sad not bringing in the mug. It was an odd feeling, as though something was missing. He'd engraved green into his morning routine, always at the blonde's side at most free times they had. It didn't stop Scott from missing the other, though. He shouldn't be missing him this much for someone who was just a friend. Scott pushed that thought down and decided to ignore it. The door to the break room opened, and Scott's eyes widened, seeing his favorite co-worker and friend he'd missed just moments ago. Ah, he began, making the blonde look up from his phone. Grin looked like he was happy? No, decent. Better than most days. The small smile Grin gave him confused Scar more than anything. Good morning, Scar. Sorry I'm a little late, he began. He was late, but because Scar didn't have a reason to make another mug of coffee, he'd also showed up late, so the time frames matched up perfectly. My sister and cousin stayed over last night. Family stuff. This morning was a little hectic, he admitted, laughing softly. Scar faltered, wondering why on earth Green was here and not at home. Oh, yeah, Scar began, setting his mug in his lap to hold. He leaned back in his wheelchair and stared up at the blonde. I saw the news, he admitted softly. Are you... he began. Green's expression changed. He frowned and looked away to avoid eye contact. I'm fine, he mumbled quickly. Scar immediately felt guilty for ruining the blonde's mood. I'm sorry, It's fine. Green cut him off and smiled again, seemingly really fine. He'd been able to hide it in the past, though. Nothing is stopping him from lying. His smile faltered, though, seemingly contemplating something for a moment. What, is on the news? I mean, what exactly did you see? He asked softly. Scar faltered. He didn't see anything, because he was there. Scar tried to quickly think of a lie, unsure of what would throw him under the bus. Just the girl Hawkeye saved. That was your sister, wasn't it? He asked. I thought the girl I was reading about was her. He had to be as vague as possible. Green's expression softened. He looked tired, almost so much so he could fall asleep soon. Yeah, he finally spoke. It was my sister. She was trying to get pictures and stuff for her job. Video shots and Hawkeye in action, and he trailed off, rubbing the side of his face with his hand. I don't know. We got separated and I was freaking out, he laughed softly, leaving Scar to feel a tight knot in his stomach. He remembered the way Grin looked when he was screaming and crying. He hoped he'd never have to see anything similar again. She's my younger sister, you know. I've always protected her and made sure she was safe. So when we got separated and I heard this explosion, Grin trailed off for a long time. Scar waited, thinking at one point he was done. The blonde swallowed and hesitated, seemingly unsure of what words to say next. His mind was stuck, and that gave Scar all the confirmation he needed that Grin shouldn't be there. Grin? He got the blonde's attention. You should go home, he whispered. You don't seem well. He kept his tone soft and gentle, not wanting to upset or anger the blonde. He knew Grin would never take that kind of tone or stress with him, or even anyone for that matter, but he doesn't want the blonde to get overwhelmed. Grin hesitated, staring at the ground before giving in. He sighed and glanced at Scar. I think you're right, he agreed. I think maybe I should call my sister. Grin rubbed his face again, hand finding his forehead to rub knuckles into his temple, more than likely massaging a headache. Yeah, Scar smiled, feeling much better about this interaction. Go home and get some rest. Call your sister and hang out with her for a bit, he suggested. I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm just worried about you being here immediately after going through something like that. Scar trailed off. I don't want to see you overwork yourself to the point your body or health collapses beneath you. Scar almost pouted. He knew the feeling. After days of walking without his cane because he felt better, it always ended with him needing days to recover, with too many heat packs and pain meds to count. Green's smile warmed Scar's heart. The blonde came closer to Scar, leaning down to awkwardly hug him. Scar immediately hugged his friend back from his chair, again, smiling widely against Green's shoulder. They could only each use one arm, with the way Green was holding his papers and Scar juggling his coffee in his lap. The hug didn't last long, but coming from Green, someone who didn't do physical touch, it meant everything. To Scar, at least. It meant the world to him that the blonde felt trusting of Scar. He pressed his arms around Green's waist, placing his hand gently on the small of Green's back. He heard the other make a noise behind his head and pull away shortly after. The blonde chuckled lightly, a light red blush dusting his cheeks. Scar imagined it was because he could easily be close to tears. "I'm sorry, I'm not the best at comforting others," Scar admitted. "Oh, come off it," Green laughed, bringing up a full-blown snort to Scar's ears. Music to his ears, if the brunette was being honest. "You always seem to cheer me up. Maybe you can't comfort others, but you do brighten my mood." "I'm just not easy to comfort," the blonde confessed. Scar felt something odd shift in his stomach. He couldn't tell if it was a good or a bad feeling weighing on him. "Can another human ever truly comfort another?" Scar asked the other. I think someone can bring another a lot of peace, but to know exactly how someone works and what comforts them?" Scar asked before stopping. "Sorry, that's a much heavier topic than I expected to get into today." Scar's face turned red as he glanced away. Green only smiled though, looking at Scar with the softest expression he'd ever seen the blonde wear. Scar's stomach shifted again, unsure what was going on, and when he looked at Green sighed, shaking his head in response. "No, it's alright. I like it when you ramble, especially about Disney stuff," Green teased. I We'll be leaving though soon. Thank you for helping and cheering me up a bit. I know it's not your responsibility, but I appreciate it nonetheless," the man mumbled, clearly not used to having these kinds of conversations. Scar found it endearing nonetheless. "You're my friend. If I didn't at least try, I think I'd be a bad friend." Scar shrugged off the heavy feeling in his body and waved the other off. "Knock it out. Go spend time with your sister," Scar shooed him with his hand, pulling a laugh from the blonde. He watched Grin leave, and something tightened in his chest. He left his coffee in the staff room, leaving shortly after Grin. As he made his way to his classroom, he kept thinking of their interactions, and when the odd feeling in his chest started forming, he couldn't get over the way Grin looked when he was happy, even after the day prior. The memory of Grin screaming and crying was burned into his brain. He never wanted to see the other like that again, still unsure what this feeling was. As he arrived to his room, he got to his desk, pulling his desk chair away to push it to the side. His mood, or at the very least facial expressions, gave him away to his students though. One in particular was eyeing him, a look of concern for his teacher. "Are you alright, Mr. Goodtimes?" one asked, a troublemaker, but a good kid. "Tommy." "You look a little upset," he mentioned finally, getting the attention of a couple of other students. Scott looked up, noticing his small audience. "Ah, don't worry about me," he smiled brightly, waving the kids off. He noticed their worried expressions heighten and spreading, confused as to why they were all concerned. We've never seen you so upset. We've actually never seen you upset," Tommy explained with a frown. Ah, he was a sweet kid. Reminded Scar a lot of Green himself, in all honesty. He was right, though. The more Scar thought about it, he never really showed his worry. "I suppose you haven't," Scar mumbled. "The workplace and students I teach aren't the place or people to talk about my personal troubles, though. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't right to use kids as a therapist. I've just got a bit on my mind and can't figure things out," Scar laughed softly. "We don't mind." Tommy laid his arms and head on his desk, smiling at his teacher. "It's better than class, anyway," Tommy joked. Scar laughed and shook his head. It's not like that. It's more like. He thought for a moment. I saw a friend upset and scared, in a really bad situation, and I've never seen him so upset. I've never seen him upset, actually. He's always been so relaxed, and I thought he just didn't experience stress. But he just handles it so well. I admire it, in a way. He's just very kind, and I hate seeing him so upset and getting hurt. He always brightens my mood, and he's got this laugh and smile that lights up a room. It's unfair he has to have so much happen to him. He's usually really quiet, but I know his humor and behavior, and he is quiet, but not in a boring way. He's just secluded and keeps to himself, and he somehow let me in. Now, it's like he's the only thing I think about, but in the way that I can't get over how scared he looked. Scar rambled, not realizing a small tangent he went on. Holy shit, Tommy whispered. Is this about. Tommy, don't swear in class. We talked about this before. Scar cut him off before blushing at the realization that more than half of his students had figured it all out. It possibly could be, he admitted. It's not that important. Besides, we have a final to study for. Scar tried to change the topic, not getting very far. I don't think you're going to be able to focus with how in love you sound. Scar faltered. Love? I don't think so. I don't think. Scar trailed off. He thought about it. Thought about Grian. Thought about his perfect laugh that never failed to make him smile. The way his glasses were always crooked and how mischievous he'd get when Scar told him to fix them. The excitement he got when Grian, of all people, let him hug him. Grian rarely let anyone touch him, and to allow Scar that privilege did something to his head. Scar always knew he felt something for Grian, but the thought of it being love never once came to mind. Sure, he loved Grian. They were friends, and Scar had a big heart. He'd never thought of kissing the other or living a domestic life. Perhaps he daydreamed about spending time together outside of work, or even visiting one another's apartments, but he never imagined that kind of life with the other. Scar realized he'd been thinking for a while before making eye contact with a few more of his students. I don't think that's it. He was being honest after all. He didn't think it was that, because he, foolishly at that, was in love with his masked sidekick, Xelqua. Even though he did not know the name of the hero, or who he was behind the mask, he couldn't help but know he was in love. He cared too much for his well-being, and always wanted him around, and he didn't think that's how he felt about Grian. Are you kidding? You're so in love! Another student chimed in, getting a handful of other voices to agree. No, no, Scar laughed, waving them all off. I am not. Even if I was, that would be unprofessional and wouldn't work. We work together. It would just be messy. Besides, we're good friends, and we have been for years. I think if I knew someone that long, I'd be able to know if I was in love with them. Scar lied right to their faces, because truthfully, he didn't know how he felt about the other. Now that it was brought to his attention, it could quite possibly be something to consider. But at this moment, he didn't have time to think about it. He never even considered it as an option. How a bunch of late teens and 20-year-olds found that out before he did, he had no clue. Now, who's ready to go over exam questions and needs help with their study guides? Scott asked, needing to get back to work. More important things were at stake, no matter how much Scott liked thinking of Grian with his oversized glasses and large sweaters. His job was more important than a potential romance. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. Oh, I love these. I love the kids finding it out before him. Like, oh, you're so in love. I am not. Oh, I love that dynamic so much. Please tell me we see more of the kids later in the chapters. Just like, just like they keep on asking him about it. Like, so how's it going with him? How's it going? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that would be so fun. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying this chapter. Story as a whole, because I know I am. But anyway, what you think about it in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.